Hey everybody, I think we're good to start. 34 people in. I think it's a good enough number here, at least for a start. For some of you that don't know yet, you saw my name on the emails, on LinkedIn, and inviting you all. But I'm Aquila. I'm the CCO from SaveLivez. My partner is also here. Some of my clients are here as well. So I'm very excited for this to happen. This is the first webinar that we're doing in this AI series that we are creating. So we are very excited to start here with Marcelo and Javier. We're gonna introduce them later on with more details. This is expected to be within the hour. Okay, so for you on Central Time, we're starting 12 p.m. Expected to go 1 p.m. Of course, if we go beyond that, if people want to keep on, we are welcome to, but we're aiming to be within the hour, okay? As I said before, I do prefer to have your cameras on so I can see your reactions, but if not, that's okay. You can click on the reactions button because I'm gonna interact with you, and we're gonna have way more interactions at the end of, as well with the Q&A, okay? Everybody ready to start? Now it's your opportunity to bounce your head. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Brandy, Addison. Awesome. So even before we start, I wanted to say why, right? Why this series and why now? So long story short, 1 year and so ago, nobody really was talking about AI. We were the ones starting to teach something about AI, and then OpenChair came on, talking a few things as well. But most of the people are still saying, well, is this a real thing that's going to change our industry, right? And then this year we went to ADRP, and suddenly everybody was talking about AI, right? Everybody was either saying that it's curious about, wants to learn about, or is already testing something. And the companies and the vendors were also talking about AI a lot. So we were impressed. And then the AI survey was submitted on ADRP that showed us what's the reality on AI in our industry. So a few things came up to me. First, is your organization currently using AI solutions? And the most of the organizations are either not using or starting to use the AI in any capacity, or are unsure, right? So just 16% of our industry is using AI right now, or are sure that they're using AI. So this was a big thing on, okay, there's interest. Everybody's talking about it, but the action is not there yet. And then another thing that came up was, okay, do you feel prepared, right, to use AI? And that also was a big thing on, not everybody's feeling very prepared. Most people are not feeling prepared at all, or, are still, unsure of what's happening. So that's why we're creating this AI series. We're creating webinars, toolkits, materials that can help our industry move forward with AI. Of course, I'm a vendor, right? So of course, I want to sell my solutions as well and want to be your partner to make those things happen. But more than that, I want to help the whole industry move forward with AI. So we're going to give you tools that don't rely on us as well, so you can learn and start using AI without necessarily using us. But we're also going to show you the path of using more complex AI, more integrated AI as well, and have something more comprehensive in your blood centers. So you should expect here things that you can use right away and things you can implement later on. A few things that really we paid attention on that survey is that 69% believe that AI will significantly impact their work within 3 to 5 years. And that's already happening, right? And the top concerns, and if you guys can react even in the chat right now, top concerns from people on that survey was data privacy, lack of in-house expertise, and cost of implementation. Data privacy, I think everybody can kind of relate to that. Lack of in-house expertise, I think a lot of people think that we need to be AI experts to use, and we're gonna try to break that preconception here today. And costs, a lot of the tools are free to begin with. Maybe some tools you already have because your company maybe uses Microsoft and is embedded Copilot, or uses Google is embedded Gemini. So maybe cost is not a thing, it's not a problem for some of the solutions, right? So, and maybe even when we do have costs, what is the return on that investment, right? Maybe it's something that pays for itself very, very fast. So that's why we're creating this. That's why starting this webinar to cover those topics, okay? And why us? Who the hell SaveLivez? Why are you here talking about it? So essentially, we've been dealing with AI specifically in blood centers for the past 8 years, right? So it's not something new for us. It's not something that we're starting to test. It's something that we've been testing, AI, machine learning, deep learning, and other stuff for the past 8 years. So we tested the most of the ideas that everybody has of using AI inside blood centers. We already have had those ideas and we already tested those. So we're pretty sure that we can kind of help with that process of understanding what to apply, when to apply, and how to apply it. And Kitesh here was a new addition for our team, is also here on the call, bringing the expertise in healthcare and especially in blood center, because of course we have to teach all this industry about AI. So this is why, and about us a little bit. And even before we start, I want to make sure everybody's clear on what is AI. So everything starts with some kind of data, right? AI needs some data to start creating knowledge or start creating any content, right? So within data, we have something called data science. Everybody here works in healthcare, and some of you are scientists. So data by itself doesn't add value, but when we start applying scientific methods on top of data, now you start creating, knowledge, content, information that you can rely on. So everything starts with data, and the best application of data is data science. But once we create those rules and create those studies, people thought, well, can we start duplicating the power of the human, the knowledge, the learning process to a machine? And that's when we created AI, right? So AI, it's umbrella term that is covering is almost everything that we're trying to mimic the human intelligence, right? So the capacity to learn, the capacity to, take information, to understand, voices, understand written language, understand context. AI, AI applications are trying to mimic our capacity as humans to have intelligence, right? Within AI, we have machine learning. So when you have large amounts of data, now you can use this intelligence to start learning from that data and start creating new knowledge based on that data. So sometimes when you say, oh, they are not using AI, they're using machine learning. Well, it's the same thing. It's still in the same umbrella. So you can essentially, when someone says, okay, I'm using AI, and you say, well, you're not, you're using machine learning, it's okay for them to say AI because it's still in the same umbrella. And then when we have really, really, really big amounts of data, like the internet, for example, we do have another category that's called deep learning. So this is our different algorithms that still are learning from data, but they are capable of processing much bigger data. And this is where it really got popular because of the LLMs, right? The large language models, because they're using deep learning, and they are the base for Gemini, ChatGPT, and Copilot. So you guys are seeing now one of the outcomes of AI, but everything else from machine learning, AI and other applications, everything can somewhat get labeled by AI. Good? Is that clear to everybody? See the head shaking. Thank you. Just the ground base here for us. And then I want to know from you, and now I'm looking at you and looking at the reaction as well. Who right now in your daily lives is using AI every day? Can you guys raise the hand? I see the hand. Yeah, a lot of you, right? I don't see some of you, but that's the reality. I think a lot of you already understand that. We all use AI every single day. It's not an option. It's embedded in every single thing that we do. When you Google something, when you open your Gmail, your spam filter on Gmail is using AI. Your content on Facebook, Netflix, your Uber ride that is calculating the best route, everything using some type of AI. So when you see Gemini and ChatGPT, that's one application, but all those other solutions that you're already using and were using for the past 10 years, you were already using AI. So this is not something that, oh, okay, AI is gonna be a reality in my industry. No, this is right now, this is happening, and we're just trying to leverage this to empower us in our industry. Good. Okay, my focus today is give you some clear next steps on how starting up, applying AI from the basic to the more complex. So the first thing I want to do is go through practical AI applications, and the first step is, okay, what do I use, right? Especially the free tools, what I can start using. So I'm going to cover a few of the main options here, just so you can kind of understand where you can start. So majority of you heard about Gemini, Copilot, and ChatGPT. Some of you saw those logos or those options within your web browser, within your Excel, right? Within your Gmail, you saw the logo there. But are you using it? And a lot of you are not. And some of you that really tried to use some of it felt that it's not good, right? So I'm going to give you a little bit of context on how to use it and what you should expect from each of them. So Gemini, Copilot, ChatGPT, what is it for? First of all, especially Gemini and Copilot, they are normally tools that comes with the suite of services your company already uses. Even if you have Microsoft 365 on your home, you probably already have Copilot within your Excel, right? It's embedded in their services. So this is not something that you have to necessarily look for. This is already there for you to use. And ChatGPT is one example, another LLM. We have others. I think ChatGPT is the most popular one. You can also start using right away because it has a free license, or if you get using more and more and more, it's going to block you at some point and ask for the payment, right? So these are the main ones I'm going to cover today. And what are their strengths? So Gemini and Copilot, they are very, very similar in terms of, because they are integrated to your current solutions, they are very good in using those informations that they already have access to add value. So in Gemini, on Gmail, for example, it has your Gmail history. It can help you understand your conversations with some person and understand what was that history, what we discussed. Can you find that information for me? So right now in your Gmail account, so if you go on the top right corner, you can see the Gemini button, but it's hidden right now. So if you click on it, it's going to bring you a bar that you can start using and start exploring the capacities that are already integrated with you. Same thing for Copilot. Within your Excel, your Outlook, your Word right now, there's a button there. If it's not, ask your IT to turn it on, but you probably have that available to you. And what they're good at, interacting with that document or that Excel, that information that it has access to, right? So those are the strengths for Gemini and Copilot. Different from ChatGPT. ChatGPT doesn't have access to all those informations. If you want it to have access to it, you have to send it over. So ChatGPT is a better model in terms of flexibility, long memory, and being very creative and having a good understanding of language in general. So it's very capable of, but doesn't have context. So you cannot expect to react in the same way that Gemini reacts in Gmail, because it doesn't have the context of your Gmail account. Okay, that makes sense to everybody? The different strengths. So I'm not going to go through all those processes, but those are the things that I would recommend that are their best for. I'm going to send this presentation so you can also share around. And when you do have frustrations on that process, you have to understand their weaknesses. So Gemini, for example, is still maturing, is still a solution that is being created within Google. You have a little bit less of control, and they're really leveraging the integration. So there's going to be a limit in terms of how creative and how efficient it's going to be on the text. Like it's going to give you error messages, so it's going to have a limit for you. Kind of the same thing with Copilot. It can be inconsistent and can give you error messages. Sometimes you have to really treat it as someone that is learning, so you can Sometimes you have to change the way that you ask things, change the way that you're phrasing or prompting, as we say in AI. So don't be frustrated and say, oh, this is just trash. It's still in that maturing process, it's still trying to get better in that integration, but it is integrated, right? So it has those good parts. And then ChatGPT has no native integrations. So you have to send all the information, send all the context, so it can really be good. So careful with that process. And that goes to my next slide on, okay, how do I get the most out of it, right? So, and Kevin's here, I was sharing this kind of thought that I have, that you have to treat the LLMs as they are inexperienced interns. So imagine someone that doesn't have experience, doesn't know your company, doesn't know what's really their role and what they should do. You have to teach a lot of things. You have to grab their hand and really teach them. I think a lot of you had the experience of training an intern, right? So imagine that the LLMs are essentially that. So you have to give it context. Don't just say, write something. Say it for who this is for, why I'm doing this, what tone should I use. You have to be specific and give it context, right? What's the goal? What's the format that you want? Where you're going to use it? All those things that you have the implied knowledge that you're expecting it. It doesn't know that you're expecting it. So giving all those informations is very critical that we get to that point. And then provide examples. This is crucial when you're trying to compare, oh, this is not what I'm looking for. So you can show, this is normally what I'm looking for. This is the structure that I'm trying to achieve. Can you replicate it? Can you learn from it and give me something similar? So giving examples is also a good thing. And iterate. So it's not going to get right for the first time. It's going to be frustrating. AI is a good tool, but it's still a tool, right? You have to use it. You have to get accustomed to its quirks and things that it does, so it gets good. So it's not going to be a magical one that you push the button and it's going to be perfect. It's going to be a process, and you're going to have to test it until you find out the ideal prompt or the ideal process you have to have in place to give what you want. Good? Picking heads? Okay, perfect. A lot of you also in the survey asked about, what about data security, right? How can I use all of this in a secure way? So first thing about Gemini and Copilot is that normally, because they're integrated to your, the tools and the suites that you already have, your IT already had to go in there and essentially set up the security and privacy settings. So essentially, when you see those things available to you, they already went through that process of choosing those privacy and security settings. If you're not seeing that, this is the next step. This is a step to go back to your IT and say, what suite of solutions are we using? Are we using Copilot? Yeah, we use Microsoft, for example. I don't see the Copilot button available on my Excel, but you are probably paying for it already. So what are the next steps for IT to say, hey, yeah, we know where to set this up. We're just going to go through it, change our setups and settings for privacy and security, and we're going to let this be available to you. So that's the conversation you have to have with your IT on Gemini and the Copilot. When it comes to ChatGPT, because it's not an integrated tool, then you have this list. This is just a few points that you have to pay attention to. But first of all, if you're within your blood center, you have to use a business account. This is not something that you're going to grab private information from the business and put in your personal account. So it has to be something you're integrating with the institution, the organization. Be careful with the information you're taking away from your system and putting in ChatGPT exactly for that reason. And ChatGPT, because it has those understand that people are using for business, it has business accounts. It has settings there made for companies, where then it's a little bit more secure to share data, to share documents, and share things within ChatGPT. So even before you're starting, just make sure you see this list here, check all those boxes, that you're double checking all those things here before you just start using. And please don't use your personal account to deal with your blood center information with documents from your blood center. If it's public, it's something that everybody can have access to something, but normally the documents that you're dealing with, they are knowledge from the organization. So that needs to be handled within a business account that the organization has access to. Okay? Good? Okay, perfect. And finalizing here, because I want to pass this along to Javier right away, but this is just examples of applications that you can use right away. And this is, of course, Gemini and Copilot have some integration with your knowledge right now, but they're not automated process. They are not fully integrated with your other systems, right? Your, blood control systems, your, HEMA Connects and Vitas and CRMs that you have, right? So what's the next step when it comes to AI? It's having a more tailored AI that is directly integrated with those solutions and can be used in a more automated way. So all those solutions that I showed you, you still have to, grab your mouse, grab your computer, copy and paste information and ask for things, right? This is not automating stuff for you. So we're gonna show you an example of AI applied in donor recruitment that really automates the process and shows the capacity of AI in a more integrated way. So imagine that right now in your blood center, you see your appointments of platelets for next week going down, right? Normally we have to react to it. We have to see visually those numbers going down and, create a campaign, start calling, send an SMS blast to try to make those numbers go well, right? AI has the capability to, first of all, monitor that for you, so you don't have to keep watching those inventories going up and down or those appointments going up and down. It watches for you, and they makes that decision for you, understands that demand, right? And starts creating the segmentation of donors that should be recruited to fulfill those needs that you're seeing in your inventory and your appointments. So AI is not only about, ChatGPT, it's also how we can automate and use that intelligence to understand, okay, I need to talk with 200 donors so I fulfill that need that is showing up on my plate, right? And once it segments the donor, understands how many donors we have to communicate with, what's the message that I'm going to send? What's the channel? I'm going to send an email, or going to send an SMS. I'm going to send a post on LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever. What's the ideal channel to communicate to that donor? It's also something that AI can help. So as you guys know, you have tailored content on YouTube, Instagram that is made for you. AI can also help you understand what's exactly the best message and content you're sending to your donor, right? And imagine following up and tracking everything that happens to the donors. It's hard as humans, right? So you also can use AI to keep following up and engage with the donor. And all that keeps feeding back to the same machine learning, again, AI, to understand how to do this best the next time. So essentially, this is an application that we could have more integrated with you in your blood center, where we can use AI for demand foresight, donor segmentation, smart campaigns, message and channel optimization, and behavior learning, the behavior from donors, right? We're going to go through this quick, but because San Diego is here, I wanted to give you guys a sense of what's the implication when you do apply AI in a more integrated and bigger scale. So it's not only ChatGPT, but you're integrating your recruitment with AI. What's the outcome you should expect from that? So the outcome is, I'm going to show you, is essentially a success case that we had with San Diego. And I'm going to jump a few slides, but I want to show you this here. So we applied AI within donor recruitment in lapsed donors for 18 months with San Diego. And we saw a 53% increase in donations after those 18 months. So this is the power of AI when we have those better integrated flows, right? It's going to just make your life easier, and in terms of bringing you more efficiency, and in this case here, bringing you more donations. So even what we really SaveLivez, as you can see in our name, our goal is to leverage AI and technology to help save lives, right? So this is the outcome that we are expecting. Seeing your old pause inventories, just like San Diego's, increasing the amount of inventory you have available. For example, as you can see here. So before using SaveLivez and before using AI, San Diego's pause inventory would average around 1.83. And then after using AI, after integrating that solution, increased the inventory average for 4.48 for pause, the biggest audience, right? So it's a 145% increase for your inventory. So this is the ultimate goal for using AI and integrating AI within our normal processes, essentially to save more lives and have a better process and have more available product to deliver to the hospitals. Okay, but don't listen to me. Listen, Javier, directly from San Diego. Javier is the marketing VP of San Diego. He's one of the smartest guys I know, and super open to really test things. Very tech savvy. And he was one of the first guys that I saw actually using ChatGPT in his marketing team. So I asked him today to share that with us a little bit. So it's not theoretical, as you're seeing with me, but it's practical with him. He's going to show you in his reality how he's leveraging AI using ChatGPT in the results that he's seeing. Okay? Good. Javier, your turn.
Thank you. If you could turn on the screen share for me, then I can go ahead and do that. Hi, everybody. Super excited to be here with you. I am really excited, actually, that there's so many of you that are already using ChatGPT and other AI tools. I actually honestly thought there would be a lot fewer folks. So hopefully this isn't too basic for some of you, but I'm just going to share, like, just again, a real world example of how we use and have used ChatGPT at San Diego Blood Bank. Let me go into presentation mode really quick. Alrighty, so just going to go through honestly how we use ChatGPT in marketing at San Diego Blood Bank. To start off, just generally speaking, why we started using AI tools, and especially why we started early on, like Aquila had said. So if you were at ADRP, or if you had a chance to look at the resources and see the presentation there, it was very clear very early for us that blood centers needed to use AI. So donor expectations are rising constantly. Like, one of the things I think that we tend to forget in our industry is that even though we can compare and sort of contrast what we're doing with ourselves and with our peers, at the end of the day, every single one of us and every single one of our donors are consumers. So everything that they're seeing out in the real world, like their experience or their level of sort of their standard, is not whether or not somebody else is using a similar scheduling tool, or somebody else's blood center website is provides even the same type of email experience or engagement experience. They're comparing all of us to things like their iPhone, right, and Netflix when they're watching TV, or when they go shopping, when they use apps on their phone or any other device. So those expectations are rising. We can't ignore that. Efficiency is also non-negotiable. So I don't know about you guys. We're coming to the end of our fiscal year. We're still trying to figure out sort of the budgets, but at the end of the day, I know it's not going to be double what last year's budget was, even though there's probably going to be double what we're being asked, right? So at the end of the day, you have to be efficient, you have to be effective where you can be, and make the most of resources that are out there. So when AI came onto the scene and we were seeing, again, like the possibility, the potential, yeah, for some folks it was definitely scary, as far as like, oh wow, could this actually do my job for me, or instead of me? But for other folks, it's like, you're telling me I could feel like I have 2 or 3 other like writers on my team without having to spend the money for it, or the same amount of money. That's how we saw it. We're like, this is going to be amazing. We know it's going to be a game changer for us. Another reason that blood centers need to use AI is, again, that early movers win. I said this during ADRP, but even more so, even just in the last month or two, AI is clearly becoming the new standards. I've sat in on a few other different webinars in the marketing industry and other industries, and at this point, it's a mix of talking about AI as coming to the scene, and AI has been here, done that. What's the next? And you'll see things like, I think right now, a big part of AI is AI agents, and I'll talk a little bit later about how San Diego Blood Bank is starting to explore that. We're not there yet, just transparently. But at the end of the day, it's going to continue to evolve super fast. So if you're not doing this now, the question is when. If not now, then when are you going to do it, right? And the last thing is, again, for us, it's special, right? Working smarter saves lives, literally, right? So the more that we can get out there, the more we can engage our donors and get more folks coming in, the more patients we save. It's literally life or death for a lot of our patients. If we can do better and save more lives, get more product on the shelves for these folks, then why wouldn't we? Unlike at ADRP, I want to talk a little bit, just a couple lines about how the marketing industry is also evolving. So for some of you who know me, this is my, San Diego Blood Bank, been here 3 years now, but this is my first stint in blood banking, also in nonprofit, right? So before this, I was 100% for-profit marketing still within healthcare and lab places, but at the end of the day, it was also mostly B2B previous to this. So I did some consumer, but mostly B2B. But I come from just pure marketing. So I think that AI is changing and forcing us to be more collaborative, right? So for some of you who have seen shows, for example, in the past, where like you have your Don Drapers who are like looking at things and saying like, oh, I'm going to be the most creative person in town. I'm going to be the one who comes up with all the special ideas and solutions. That's just not the case anymore. Strategy is collaborative. Like ideas come from everywhere. Execution needs to be multifaceted. You need more people working on things. And the reason why AI is so big in that is because now even as an individual, as a single person, even if you're a one-person marketing team, you don't have to work on your own as a marketer. You can use AI as that collaborator. You can ask it questions. You can have discussions with it, talk through things, and you can even add, like, again, you can present information, ask it for more information. I will say, again, as a reminder, be careful not to just trust AI inherently. Like, it'll make things up. I've literally had it tell me, 1 + 1 = 3, and that's obviously not the case, right? So take everything with a grain of salt, check everything, ask for references or like outside links. But at the end of the day, it's a great tool to basically not feel like you're just thinking to yourself, like to really like express and go back and forth with what you're doing and with your team. Targeting is smarter and more personalized. The rate at which nowadays we need to customize content, campaigns, even the timing, not even just the content, the timing of outreach is so important. Some people will answer or respond to a text within minutes. Some people, it'll take them 2 or 3 days. You can't necessarily, as an individual or even as a team, unless somebody's full job is this, customize that for every single donor, whereas AI can allow you to do that. And the last thing is speed will beat perfection any day. Today's landscape even more so. AI allows you to go so fast. You could literally test. I was on this other a webinar for again, this is a general marketing one, and they were able to create, I think it was a few hundred iterations of an ad within minutes. And again, these were not trash iterations, right? Like we were looking through some of the examples, and these are really good examples. I was actually surprised because even just a couple months before, I was looking at images generated by AI, and they didn't look anything like they did within this this specific demo. If you want to learn more about that one, I'll share with you later. You just have to hit me up offline. So how is San Diego Blood Bank's marketing team using AI? You're going to notice a theme here. If you haven't had breakfast yet, I'm sorry. I love an everything bagel. But we use it to brainstorm basically everything. We come up with ideas, yes, but we put those into AI. We ask it to generate more. And then if we don't like them, we ask it to generate even more. We let it, we iterate. We ask it for specific types of examples, etc. We use it to draft everything. So once we have our ideas, then we put together some caveats, some requirements, and we say, please produce a first draft for this. Once we're drafting everything, we also review and rewrite everything. When somebody sends something to me, I typically nowadays don't even take a first pass by myself. I'll plop it into AI, and then I'll ask it to review based off of my own tendencies and preferences. And then if I need to rewrite things, I will just copy and paste a specific portion of the content and ask it literally like, oh, please rewrite this. These are my comments. And then I'll send that back to the team. We also use it to analyze, summarize, and simplify everything. I don't know about you guys, but when you guys get huge stacks of like notes, or there's a bunch of content to go through, or whatever it is, it's so much easier, if you haven't tried this before, to just literally copy and paste or upload everything into your AI tool and ask it a question. Say, based off of all this content, what's the most important thing I should be looking at right now? Based off of these notes, what's our priority for next week? Or what might I miss? What's something that might fly under the radar that I need to pay attention to, or at least schedule or something? It like Aquila was saying, it literally is your most academically gifted, unwise, but helpful assistant, right? You can ask it anything, but it won't necessarily know exactly what it's giving you, so just pay attention. So the real question is, how are we not using AI? To be honest, at this point, I don't think there are any applications within the marketing team in which we wouldn't be better off if we aren't already using AI at some step of the process. So I would look at, and again, hopefully after the next portion of this, I would look at your guys' workflows, your processes, and say, is there a way for us to get better, faster, make things easier for ourselves, if we're using some kind of AI tool here? I did say at ARP, and I will reiterate that the goal isn't to just use AI like a hammer and everything's a nail and use it to solve everything, but look for those common things where you're being repetitive, you're doing things over and over, and there's a certain outcome that you want that you could clearly describe, right? Especially for generative AI like ChatGPT, it's really good at that. You can set up the rules that you want and say, do this thing I asked you to do last time, but with this new content, right? So definitely try it. So let's do a real world example. We're going to write some content together. I'm going to share my screen, but I want to set some ground rules first. First thing, it's a closed environment. I'm using a brand new ChatGPT account. Full disclosure, it is a free account. I just wanted to show that you could still do this on a free account, but I'm not going to upload anything that is proprietary or anything that is something that you wouldn't be able to just find online or come up with yourself. Second thing, it's a real use case. So I'm going to write a blog post, email, and social media content for 4th of July weekend. I didn't even ask my team if we had anything yet. I'm just going to do it right now. Like, hopefully they're not too insulted. If anybody's on the call, I'm going to defer to you guys. But I just wanted to try it just because I don't have anything on my desk, right? And the last thing, it's going to be a really basic workflow. So again, for any of you who are well practiced with ChatGPT or with generative AI or have been doing stuff like this, this is your bread and butter now at this point. Apologies, we can talk shop and do more advanced stuff if you want to connect with me offline. But I want to do this in a way that anybody on this call can use or do anything I'm doing immediately. Or you could follow along and you don't need any special tools or anything. That's why I'm using a free account. So let's go to ChatGPT. I am going to share this tab instead. Hopefully you guys can see this. All right.
We can see it.
Perfect. So again, it's a brand new account. I don't have any chats or anything. I didn't archive them. It's not even an upgraded plan. What I'm going to do first is probably something that somebody who has never used ChatGPT would do in this situation. Please write a 4th of July blog post for me. And then for any of you who's done this before, you're going to see what it gives you, right? It's going to be the most generic, the most awkward, sort of weird, like who writes like this type of thing. It's going to sound very marketing-y, but it's not going to meet any of my goals. If you saw this and like if you were a marketing manager or a writer and somebody gave this to you, you're going to be like, what are you doing, right? This is like Independence Day marks the birth of a nation in 1776. Like who talks like that, right? Like nobody's going to read this. This is ridiculous. The next step for most folks is going to be to give it a little bit more context. Please write a 4th of July blog post for San Diego Blood Bank blog. It's going to be a little bit better. So it's still going to be weird as fireworks light up the sky, blah, blah, blah. But at San Diego Blood Bank, we believe it's powerful to honor those, right? And while you're enjoying the barbecue, we invite you to celebrate with a purpose. Giving blood is a simple act, blah, 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 right? It's honestly, especially with the free AI, it's probably pulling stuff from online, not just from our blood bank, from other blood banks, but because you're giving it that additional context, it's suddenly going to be a little bit better, but it's still missing some key things. Like where's the call to action? Where's the link? Like, it kind of made up a little tagline on its own here. There's a lot of stuff here that's not clearly sort of what we would do as a second round of edits if somebody gave us this. So I'm going to jump a few steps forward here, and I'm going to copy and paste something, and I'm going to explain it before I enter it. But this goes back to what Aquila was saying when it comes to prompting and the importance of prompting. So hopefully I don't use up the free credits too quickly here, but I'm gonna copy and paste and go through this. Hopefully you guys can see this. Let me know if not, and I can zoom in. But so here,
I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay, great. Here I've crafted a more structured prompt. I actually have a template for this. If you guys would like that, I can send that as well. But what we're doing is we're giving it all the information, some of it stuff that you would assume that a person would know. But again, it's AI. It doesn't necessarily know what you're asking for, what you need. So the thing we're starting off with is role in context. So I'm instructing ChatGPT saying, you are a senior marketing copywriter with expertise in blood banking and donor recruitment. You focus on marketing best practices and data-driven recommendations. So this is just to give it a space to work from, right? It's not going to just do sort of basic large language model prediction. It's going to say, okay, this person, Javier, is asking me to act in this role. Next thing is I'm going to give it a very specific task. So create the blog post for sending a blood bank celebrating the upcoming 4th of July holiday while encouraging the audience to donate blood if they can, right? You can word this in any way you like. This is the way just that I worded it, but these are the two things I want to make sure, like if somebody were to ask me, again, a writer on my team, say, hey, I'm going to do the content for 4th of July. What do you want? I'm going to say, I want us to celebrate 4th of July, but obviously I want us to encourage donors to come in if they can. Again, it's 4th of July weekend. I don't want to do like a hard sell. I don't want to guilt people necessarily, anything like that. But it's an option, right? It's something to do. This is the part that I think a lot of folks don't do. So the next thing here, is requirements and additional notes. So here's where you get very specific on what you're looking for. So there's a bunch of bullets here. I'm going to go through them, not one by one, but you'll see sort of the theme here. So giving it a word count, giving it themes, right, that I wanted to talk to. I don't want like the whole 1776 thing. I want giving back to the community through blood donation, giving it a reason. Donations dip during the summer, but patients still need blood. I want it to be SEO friendly. I gave it some keywords and phrases. I gave it a specific call to action. Please visit sendyourblooddbank.org/donate. I also give a disclaimer. Not recommended to donate blood, then drink, or be out the sun with protection, or to engage in vigorous activity. I'm asking it to put it in the disclaimer at the bottom, along with our normal disclaimer copy, which is 17, the blood donor requirements, basically. I'm also giving you information on our promo that's going to be happening in this time during July. So we have a 75th anniversary beach hat. We already have a blog post that was written on this, so I'm giving it the blog post. One thing to note here as far as a tip, so I'm giving it the link, but I'm also asking it to link it in the blog post when they mention it. Actually, I forgot one part here. For your reference, please visit and review the content. So you have to instruct it sometimes very specifically. Sometimes it won't even take a look. And you'll notice when it's writing. And even if you instruct it, sometimes you have to check to make sure it actually did, right? But I gave it the full link, which is, side note, quality of life wise, that's such a huge thing. In the past, I had not done that. ChatGPT didn't allow you to do that. And then going on, again, these are all the recommendations I'm saying. Here's some voice and tone stuff, asking it not to be overly emotional or weird, giving it some even stylistic things, like send you a blood bank, we say life-saving, not life-saving. And then, like Aquila mentioned before too, here's 3 examples I'm giving it to visit and review of 3 previous blog posts that we had done before. Whether these are, AI generated or written by an individual or whatever it was, like some of these are older, like you can give it examples of how exactly you want it. Output format, please provide it in standard format. Do not use emojis. Do not provide any commentary content outside the blog itself. I don't want it to be like, oh, great, we can absolutely help with this or anything like that, right? Just in case somebody directly copies and pastes. That happened too. I've seen that. And the last thing, this one's a little bit of a weird one, but I found it actually works. I saw this online, so I tried it. Make the stakes high. Last and most important instruction, blog post is critical to our org and could help save the world. Please do a good job or I could lose mine. I don't know why it works. It does a much better job when you tell it stuff like that. It could be anything, but when you do that and you hit enter, the blog post that it provides is going to be much, much better. Links to our centers. Here's a link to go online, link to learn more. Like it links back to the blog post about the 75th anniversary hat, why to donate, how to prepare, staying hydrated, etc. link to our donor requirements. Again, book your appointment. So reiterates, and here's our disclaimer text. So this, as is basically usable at this point. I'm sure that we'd have some things we want to go in and revise, but at the end of the day, if we were in a really quick pinch, at this point, we're good. Now, to go further, and I know I'm just trying to keep track of time, what I would do, so after this, if you had this done, what I would do next is I would put in something like this. Great, can you next create or act in the role of a senior email marketer? Write an email for the blog post. This is going to be the link. We need these types. Da, da, da. If you give it that, then it's going to do the same thing. It's going to go off of what I did. It's going to reiterate sort of, again, what I'm asking it to, single donation, etc. This is great. This is basically usable at this point. We could do the same thing for social media, copying and pasting something else. So this one, I'm asking for Facebook, Instagram, and X or Twitter. I am asking it to follow best practices for each social media platform. One thing I've noticed that AI will sometimes not do is it won't know which best practices to use. So for example, for Twitter, if I did this right now, I'm 100% sure that I'd have to ask it to reduce the amount of copy for Twitter, or the character count, because it doesn't always take that type of thing into account. Or if you don't want to use hashtags, that kind of thing. Actually, this is pretty good. Not bad. Maybe it's better now. That's another thing. AI will just constantly, constantly always get better. So this, at this point, is basically done. I have all the stuff I need. The only things that are missing likely are images, that kind of thing. You can use AI to try to generate images. I still haven't had luck getting it to do what we want it to, not in ChatGPT or Dolly or anything else. That said, some people just have better GPTs. What I would do next from this point, and what we have done at San Diego Blood Bank, is create a GPT from this. And all that means is creating a custom tool so that you don't have to repeat yourself so much when you're asking for a very specific thing. The secret here is, as well, if you're brand new to this, there's a GPT library. So if you go in here, you go to writing, and you go to, this one's actually a pretty good one, fully SEO optimized article, including FAQs. People have created GPTs for this specific thing. It won't be as specific to blood banking, but you can definitely use it as start. For example, blog, article, image. It'll literally do the same. It'll ask you questions about what you're looking for, and it'll do a pretty good job according to, again, what, like this more generic version. I do recommend trying some GPTs, but at the end of the day, if you build your own, I've seen it be way better, just especially when you're writing for a specific reason, right? If it's for your blood center, your GPT will likely do way better than this one as soon as you've practiced a few times and gotten what you need out of the platform. Going back to the presentation really quick. Am I on time, Aquila? I think a few minutes or less than, right?
Yeah, you have a couple minutes.
Okay,
so
I'm going to run really quick through this then. So some lessons and tips on what we've learned. So good prompts equals good output. You saw the very first prompt gave me trash. The last one gave me almost perfection, right? Next, build a prompt bank. We started to do this, or at least different folks on the team did, and I did as well. And we had stuff ready when we needed to do things, but that quickly led to, why don't we just use GPT so we don't have to repeat ourselves? So we did that. Think of AI, again, as your assistant collaborator, not as a standalone tool, like Aquila had mentioned. Also, it is not going to do your job for you in that it doesn't know what good looks like. You have to know what good looks like, go in, give it instruction, and work with it to get what you need out of it. It's an amazing assistant collaborator, but it cannot do it by itself yet. Who knows, right? And then always review and edit AI responses. I've literally had it change things on me. I've had it, again, do very bad math, that kind of thing. Never just copy and paste it as is. You have to have at least one other person read this, right? And start small. Like the very first thing I did, that was nothing, right? All of us have probably done that already, even if you haven't touched AI since, and it just will build up from there. So what's next for us? So upcoming advancements, we're trying to standardize and normalize our workflow. In the marketing team, we still have folks who use it differently than other folks. So we're trying to normalize that. We're also going to improve efficiency. So I mentioned AI agents before, but one thing with us is we have different GPTs now that we're still manually going from one GPT to the next in an ideal world. And I believe this is, my understanding is this is possible with AI agents. We're still exploring platforms for this, but you can connect different GPTs, even different AI tools, and you can have it orchestrate sort of what you need. So going from create the blog post to then create the social media and other content to creating videos, and again, like it could do what you need to, but it's difficult to get one sort of generative AI chat to do that. And the last thing is going to be better data management. Like Aquila mentioned before, we have a lot of times where we're just copying and pasting data into our paid, obviously secure platform, but if we can get it so that it just has access to everything, and we can ask it questions based off of data it should have or content it should have, it'll make things a lot more efficient. We just need to do it in a secure way. And last thing I'll end on is guiding principles. So we're empowering experts. We're not replacing marketers with AI. We are marketers using AI. Like I said, you have to know what you're doing and what good looks like. You have to consider the problem. Like, AI isn't a solution just because it's AI. You figure out sort of what you're trying to solve for. Is it efficiency? Is it creativity, brainstorming? Typically, it's going to be speed or some kind of iteration. And then if you see that, if you're doing something over and over and you wish you could do it faster or better, that's probably going to be an AI solution for that. Work transparently. When you're using AI, like, I think that especially early on, there's like a lot of mixed feelings about AI and people who weren't sure whether or not it was going to be good for them or bad for them. It's much better for everybody involved if you're just like, hey, I'm going to use AI to try to do this. Let's talk through this. Let's see how it did. Let's improve over time. And last thing, focus on what matters. Again, the point isn't to use AI. The point is to use AI to do our jobs better and to allow and empower organizations to save more lives. And that's it.
Awesome. I know that we're getting closer to the hour. As you guys can see, we have a lot of content to talk about. So this is not going to be the only webinar. We scratched the surface on GPTs and custom GPTs and AI agents and other applications. So if you guys give us a good feedback and this makes a good success, we're going to keep doing more webinars, going to keep creating those materials. And I'm going to, Lisa, I'm going to send that presentation to you guys. We're also going to create a library where you can find not just the presentations, but then the toolkit. So the tips that Javier is saying that, oh, what's the ideal way to create the prompt, right? We can share those things with you guys so you can kind of try to replicate the same, methods. And just one thing, of course, I know that we're getting closer to the hour. We're going to pass it, sorry, but we still have more content here. So if you can stay, you can, I would be super happy that you stay. We're going to record everything. So I'm going to send this if you have to leave. But I just wanted to make sure I finish Javier, our conversation in terms of you have something that you can apply right now, right? So this is basic copy and paste, use an AI tool. And Javier, for example, his team creates those contents, right? Those emails, and they have a great email. But now, how do I know which email is going to be best for each donor? Then you need a little bit more data and a little bit more integration. So that's where his work attached to mine work at SaveLivez to then use our AI to choose what message is the best for each donor to increase donations. So it's not that you have to start with something more complex like SaveLivez, but one AI tool will connect to the other and make the whole thing go forward. So one great start with what Javier is saying, and then you can connect with other solutions. Thank you, Michael. I understand, no problem. And the last thing that I want to talk about the Javier presentation is that he mentioned that one of his struggles is that he has to copy and paste the information directly to the bot. He has to give the bot the context and the information. And Marcelo here, CEO from Mr. Turing, is going to talk exactly about that, because he has a company that is specialized in not using just ChatGPT, but all the AI tools that we have. And he got very, very good exactly in that process to how do I connect the content and the knowledge of companies and organizations to a good LLM, a good AI model that's not gonna, invent things or take things out of the blue, but it's gonna get very, very specific and accurate to the information that the organization has and how we can make that integration. So again, this is the next level. It's not just ChatGPT, but it's how organizations and other solutions can help you guys with that deeper integration and how that works. So I know Marcelo for decades, probably.
A long time ago.
Yeah. So I appreciate you being here. Sorry again, guys, for the time, but Marcelo has a quick presentation and then we'll go to QA. Okay.
Okay. So thanks for having me. So Hi for everyone. So my name is Marcelo. I'm the front from Mr. Turing, and we work with, I can say, with the most important asset inside of any company, that is knowledge. So the knowledge is really important. And uh, Aquila and Javier said everything that you have inside in your company, you have a sensitive data, and you have a lot of systems, platforms inside your company, and you need to know how to use and the better way to access and who will have the access with the information. So this is the most important for us. Inside Industry 2, you work with companies that understand that the knowledge it's really important and they need to give to the employees, to the people that work inside the company, the power of this knowledge, because sometimes we lose a lot of time looking just for information or did their job. So now we work with AI almost 10 years, since 2016. And we work with one technique that is natural language process before everyone knows large language model in December 2022, when it's 2022? Yes, 2022, when OpenAI showed the word ChatGPT, right? So we know all the techniques before large language models. So Aquila shows machine learn, deep learn. We know natural language process. We work with computer vision to understand documents, to understand every type of image that you have inside in your company. So it's not just use large language models, it to understand that we cannot give sensitive information to large language models that work outside in your company. Because if you give this information to this kind of platform or service, sometimes the information can go away. Okay, so for be very specific, I will share my screen here, show a little bit about the platform. It's really simple. And Aquila give to me a document. Aquila, I don't know nothing about your market, okay? I just create a user here for you see everything clear, okay? Because I have a lot of customers and I don't wanna everyone see everything that I have inside the platform. So this is a new user, like Javier did inside Tom GPT. This is our platform that we call Alan. I don't know if you guys know the history about Alan Turing. So the company is Mr. Turing, and our platform we call Alan to give the honor to one of the father of artificial intelligence. Okay, so here's the Alan. So everything that I want is inside the platform. So I have the files here, everything that I have, every folder, documents that I have inside the platform. So Aquila gives me this blood donor education materials, I think 3 days ago or something like that. And today he gives me these two new documents. Am I right, Aquila?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the point here is, okay, imagine if everything here is your knowledge, everything that you have inside in your company, what I can do with this kind of information, this document. So if you don't want to put your files upload one by one, you can integrate. Okay, you can put in your SharePoint, you can put your Google Drive, OneDrive, what kind of system that you have inside in your company, you can integrate with your API. Okay, and will not will give the information to large language models. Alan will process inside in your company the information to make sure that large language model will have access just for everything that my platform gives to them. Okay.
No.
So
Can I
after
just say
you,
something, Marcelo? Because you
sure.
said a phrase to me that really made me understand better this, is that the LLMs like ChatGPT, they are not only restricted to the documents that you're provided on that chat. They are using what they learned on
On the internet.
the internet, right? And this is essentially showing use the same kind of techniques that ChatGPT and any other AI use on large language models, but applying exclusively to your information, to the documents that you provided. So it's the same capability, but the knowledge that is gathering to give you answers is only your documents. So it's not going to create, right, things from the web or things from other blood centers. It's going to be restricted to what you provided. Is that correct, Marcelo?
Yeah, is that correct? But nowadays you can do this on ChatGPT as well. Okay, you can integrate with the API, and they will restrict your data in one like server. Okay, and then everything that happened will be inside just in your document, but they will process everything. Okay, so I work with all kind of large language model. We have R as well. Okay, we developed this large language model since 2021, I think. Okay, but it's not so powerful that OpenAI, Gemini, Copilot, because we are just a startup. Okay, but in some cases inside the company, we understand that we can use our own or how can I say proprio, Aquila? Sorry for the Portuguese.
Private, proprietary.
Proprietary, thank you. Our proprietary large language model inside the client. But we can work with all the models that we have in the market right now, and we can choose, and the client can choose each one we can use, or we need to use in some process or some information that we process inside our platform. Awesome. Okay. So after we process everything, so we can see the document, we can see it's 100% processed. So now here is something that you already know. So it's like ChatGPT, you look at there, they have all the information, they give you some question that you can start with the chat, you know, if you don't know what you want to know, or you want to make a question to them. But here he gave me some examples. Okay, because I don't understand anything about the market, Aquila, can you send some question?
Yeah. So just giving everybody context on what documents we provided. So essentially we provided the documents we use and San Diego uses on understanding if someone is eligible or not to donate. So if you had a tattoo, if you have a trip, if you had anything, everybody here in blood centers have their own documents, describing if someone is eligible or not. So essentially, I just shared that with Marcelo, so we could test that this bot can actually understand that context, understand those documents, and give us the right answer. And essentially, I'm gonna ask questions about, just like a donor would if they're reading this material, right?
Just for additional context from San Diego Blood Bank, just yesterday, I saw at least three, it might have been more, contact forms come in asking, I take XYZ medication and I have a donation appointment tomorrow. Is that okay?
Yep.
Right. Like it's exactly that type of stuff.
So Marcelo, just to start, maybe we can start with that as an example. So we can say, I can even type, but I would imagine that we can say, I'm taking blood pressure medication. Can I donate? That's a very common question that everybody hears.
I'm taking what?
Sorry? A blood pressure medication. Am I, eligible or okay to donate? And this is essentially this is a tease, everybody, that we're partnering with Mr. Turing to bring that kind of technology to our market. So this is a tease for everybody. But yeah.
This is the question? Is okay the question?
I'm taking a blood pressure medication. Can I donate? Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So right now, Alan will see all the documentation, just the documentation. He will analyze everything. If you have a link with the documents, if you have a reference inside the documents, he start to give me some status, how is everything inside the process. It's not quickly as OpenAI, Gemini, because he has a lot of servers work all the time for them, but you will see, okay, In this time, you will see the answer. So it's really complete, you know. Aquila, you can read because, again, I don't have any idea about the content, okay?
Yeah, no, but
So,
I think Javier here is the one to double check. But of course, everybody here knows eligibility. I think everybody works in blood centers, and you can see kind of the specifics that you can get, and it's all based on those documentations. Of course, we all have some reference on from AABB, FDA as reference, but we sometimes customize, right? So this is just to show an example on just what Javier was saying. He has to copy and paste everything to ChatGPT, right? So this is kind of the same logic, but instead of copy and paste, you integrate, you have a deeper integration with your documents, your process within a solution. And that solution can use only your information documents to give you back the information. And I'm sure this is just one of the applications, but Javier, any thoughts on here?
So I mean, based off of our donor education materials and what we provide, it looks to be accurate. What I would say is what I'm seeing, it's funny because I don't know if I'd want necessarily a donor to directly interact with this with the way that it gave the information, but I could see this being at the ready for somebody who's either a telerecruitment or at a front desk, somebody who needs to check really quickly a reference, and even more so because we do try to make those donor education materials relatively simple so that a person can go through them during the screening process very quickly. But this actually makes me excited to look at all of our processes and our SOPs and say, if somebody needs to reference that, there's so many more documents there and so many more things that are technical that if you're training somebody, especially they have a question, instead of trying to pour through all the many documents you have, you could just ask, again, Alan, Mr. Turing here, just ask like, hey, for this procedure, is it this or this?
Yeah.
And like, again, it's a much better, much smarter search that can give you the exact information you need.
No, it's perfect. And one thing that's really smart here, that you can see the references and you can see the relevance of the part of the document that Alan showed you. You can see the answer, but you are not sure that it's correct or not. You don't need to ask again. You came just to see the references here and you see all the relevance, you know, for each part of the documents. So this is really important. And like Javier said, you can give this to people that work inside in the company, but you can train Alan to what kind of tone, you know, okay, you will now answer the donor. So with all the documentation that you have, all the expertise, the knowledge that you get about the context, you will answer in this way. So inside the company, they will answer with all the references and everything. But for the donor, in the other side, you know, they will receive just the information that is for them. You know.
Yeah.
So this is really important.
Marcelo, thank you for that. And so everybody here, of course, this is not a solution that SaveLivez offer, right? I'm bringing someone from outside blood banking, but this is a commitment that I did with a lot of you and the industry at ATRP, saying that we, as an industry, we need more. We need to have the same access of technology and possibilities that hospitals or even other industries have. But our industry is so small and such a niche industry that a lot of companies don't come and don't see this industry as a possibility. So that's bringing Marcelo here and showing this quick example here is to provide you that that example that we will help bring other players to this market, introduce these players to the market, and make those connections happen. So that if you guys want to leverage something like this, we're gonna help you make those connections and introduce you to those technologies. And we ourselves are going to use Marcelo's solutions as well, solutions that are powered by SaveLivez. But Marcelo, I think that's it. Anything else from here, or can we go to the QA?
No, I think one thing that I can say for everyone, because I don't have any agent here, but after you have all the knowledge process inside or Alan, you can make your own agent. Okay, so if you have a flow and you want something that go get the information, process and deliver our email, report, presentation, an Excel file, everything, Alan can do this really, really well. Okay, so
Perfect.
it's just not answer questions,
Yeah.
but you can put some process here, and he will do really well for you.
Awesome. And as you can see, guys, this is more advanced. So this is what we say that we have a lot of content still to generate. So you guys saw basic introduction. You saw an example with Javier on how to start using a simple tool that you have access right away, and something more complex on both our solutions and Marcelo example. So we'll keep going if you want. We'll keep going, creating more material, creating more content. And for you guys that are here, your mics are open. And the chat is also open, so this is your turn to go crazy. That's why we join on those webinars, and we stay at the end, because you can have those 3 specialists in AI to answer your questions. So you can just unmute yourself or raise your hand or type in the chat if you have any questions. It can be from any other the presentations. It can be addressed to any of us. Don't fight over it. Come on. Questions? You guys are shy. Come on.
Today's Friday, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kayla, this has been great. Thank you so much for putting this together. And Javier and Marcelo, thank you all so much for sharing y'all's knowledge and expertise and letting us learn from y'all before we just kind of start on this on our own. I guess my question is less about what you shared today and more about, Keela, you keep sharing about this is just the first one, but have you kind of roadmapped out like what that future would look like or what the next topic to tackle would be?
Sure. To be honest, we are open to change it. We have initial ideas, because I think the feedback from you guys, I think, is the most important thing for defining that roadmap. That's why I'm putting out surveys and pollings and things like that to define. But just based on the LLMs part and just getting better at it, the next natural step once people start using this is go to what ChatGPT calls GPTs, or Marcelo calls agents, right? So you're not only using, but you're creating a tailor-made agent or GPT for you for a specific task. So that's the natural next step that all of us here, Marcelo, Javier, and myself, we use every single day. So for my basic, customer success, sales process, I'm using multiple GPTs to help me. And I think that's the natural step when you start using. The next step after that is what we call automated agents. So it's not only customized GPTs, but are agents that can actually, connect, integrate with your process and act on it. So it's not going to just give you an information or reply to your message, but they're going to act on something. And this is closer to solutions like what we do. Essentially, SaveLivez is a similar concept in terms of an agent that is doing things for you. So I think naturally going on more complex applications of AI, it's going to be a roadmap, and then bringing more specific applications within blood centers, also going in more complex variations in other areas because right now, of course, Javier talked about marketing applications, but what are the operation applications? What are the quality assurance applications, right? They are similar on the basis, but they get, different when, customized for each application. So we can go there. We have a lot to talk about, to be honest. We live that every single day for the past 8-10 years, right? So it's more about you guys giving us feedback if you like it and what you want to see next.
Thank you. That's a perfectly logical next step, and that sounds great.
Yeah.
Anyone
else?
We are here very open, and if you receive some feedback, some idea that you think, okay, is a good idea, we can open our platform and we can make the example for everyone, see how this works.
Awesome. Perfect. Any other questions? Nope. Addison, I see your name there. Victoria, you unmuted.
No, this was a great presentation. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the comprehensive overview of everything. I think this is going to be something that could definitely help us.
Awesome. This is the introduction. I understand that it's a lot of content, and we are 1 hour and 20 minutes over. So 20 minutes over. But if you remember questions later on, guys, just send it over. You guys have my contact information. I'm going to start sending you this content, this recording, this summary, the toolkits, and everything else. And we're also probably going to leave this available at some place. We also partner with ADRP. So if you are ADRP members, we're going to publish all this content we're doing at the ADRP Collaborate platform and research library. So if you're a member there, you're also going to have access to the library and the content that we generate over there. If you're not, you can also always just ask me, and I'm going to send it to you. Okay? Last chance. Any other questions? I give you once. I give you twice. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I talk to you guys later. I appreciate you all being here. Javier, Marcelo especially, thank you for your participation. Great presentations, and we talk later, okay?
Perfect. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.